there of Josh and Ryan at Energy Park. Josh seems to be running quite good on that, and that's a tough surface as well. So, I mean, how hopeful are you that the two guys will be able to play, and what sort of contact are they able for?
They should be good to go, yeah. So see how they get through the rest of the week, but yeah, early signs they look good.
No, that's good to hear. And obviously James Lowe misses out this week. I mean, he is a huge weapon, or his left boot, and the rest of his play is a huge weapon in the Leinster Arsenal. How does his absence change your thinking in terms of tactics?
Like James didn't feature much for us, if you remember, during the build stages earlier on the year. So because remember he went back to New Zealand for that round 3 and 4 games. So yeah, like you've seen the guys. Jimmy's been good this year. Hugo, obviously, you've just had in. Jordan Lambert was unlucky to miss out, probably in some of those games as well. So he obviously played the last 16 game, missed it in the quarterfinal. So yeah, the competition is good regardless there. So we're reasonably comfortable there. Guys, even away, there was some guys featured okay. So yeah, no, we're okay. Yep.
And just even there on Jordan Lambert, I mean, he has been not getting as much game time, I'd say, as he probably would have wanted and all that. How has he dealt with that, and what are you seeing in training?
Jordan's unbelievable. Like he's as good as you can get really in terms of character in the group. Bundle of energy the whole time. How he manages some of, I guess, the disappointing selections maybe at different stages. He just gets on with it. He's just excited to get back in. The next opportunity he gets to be as good as he can possibly be. So, yeah, no, he's been excellent.
I was just saying to you, last season, the Leinster-Toulouse match was probably one of Leinster's best matches of the season, and Toulouse probably feel they left themselves a bit short. I mean, I presume you're expecting a much better performance from them this time.
Yeah, like if you remember, the dynamic was a bit different, wasn't it? Like last year, because there was the last 16 games were back to back, the home and away. So this year slightly differently. So, and again, the dynamic of the tournament is unusual. So we played Connacht, then we went to South Africa, then we came back, we played Leicester away in the quarterfinal. Then we obviously Munster were playing Toulouse in that game in the Aviva the week before. So Toulouse had that challenge. Obviously, you have to go to extra time into penalties. So then you have to deal with the emotional part of that. Then they travel back to France. Then they come back to Dublin. So they probably had a bit more going on leading into that game last year. Again, it's different this year because they've rested up their team at the weekend. We've had a dynamic where we didn't send certain players to South Africa. And what's right, what's wrong, it's impossible to tell. You don't want to play your very best game in the semi-final either and then losing the final, which is what happened to us. So you want to try and just do enough to get through these games to play your best game when you really need to play your best game. So it's very much on the day though, isn't it? But like when you're playing a semi-final, it's just all about getting to a final.
Do you sense that there's more pressure on Leinster this year? There's kind of a changing of the guard with Johnny Sexton finishing up and Stewart moving on, and just a lot of these players, as you were saying, don't have a European medal yet. Is there a sense that there's extra pressure on this year because of the circumstances?
I don't know. I get the sense that there's that pressure all the time, but that's just me personally. So we always want to be able to deliver because like this is what it's all about. This is what we put all the work in for. You know what I mean? Like to be at this moment of the tournament. So you're down to the last 4 teams. You need to get your preparation right going into the game because that's what gives you the best chance. So that's where you need to focus your energy. That's what I try to focus my energy on. What do we need to cover off? Making sure we're prepared as best we possibly can for all the different eventualities that may happen. Because you're up against the best teams in Europe, you know what I mean? That's why they're there. Like you're down to the last 4 serious teams. Toulouse, the most successful team in the competition. This is where we want to be. Like there was a period once upon a time where Toulouse were off in the distance, miles ahead of us. You know what I mean? But they're still the teams that we're trying to chase. So, and yet, no, we know we need to be at our very, very best if we want to have a chance of progressing to the next round because of the amount of quality that they have. because they've the top French talent, and they've some serious foreign talent there as well. So, but that's always been the case. That's always been the way with Toulouse. So, that's what our focus is at the moment. So just making sure we deliver everything we can this week, which is a knockout game, and see where we are at the end of the weekend then.
That's brilliant. Thanks, Leo.
Thanks, yeah.
Leo, Will here from Virgin Media Sports. How are you?
Hi, Will.
Leo, just to ask you, I was saying to Hugo there about the quarter final and the performance in that game. He believes that Leinster will have to be even better than that day to get one over on Toulouse. Is that something you agree with?
Well, that's what you always want to be. You want to be better week on week. So, we've had a group that played, if you think the last 16 game, the quarter final, and then we've just tried to manage the group the way we think is best. A lot of work has gone into the URC to make sure we had that top seeding before the trip to South Africa, which is great because it gave us the opportunity to blood some young players out there. Great win against the Lions. A tough outing against the Bulls at the weekend. Character building, we'll call it, for some of our younger guys. But still, it's amazing exposure for some young guys to have at this stage. So, because of the dynamic of the season, and even if you look at the three leagues, like they all have different dynamics at play. So the way it is, so we know we have a semi-final now. We know we have a quarter-final in the URC the week after, and we know we've got two knockout games. If you lose two knockout games, then that's it over. But obviously we want to try and progress and be involved in all the 5 knockout games, and so we've had to manage the group quite well, or as in try to manage the group well, so that they're able to fire. As I said, we're excited now about this week. We need to be better because Toulouse are the most successful team in the club, the history of the competition. So it's going to take a huge effort. So the positive thing is, there was so much good effort, work got in earlier in the season to get us to this stage where we have top seeding as well. So in previous years, if you think back, we for a quarter final last year, we had to say because we had the seeding we'd travel away to Leicester, win on the road. We managed to play Toulouse here because we had better seeding than them. It's great, isn't it? Like we're here at this stage of the competition. We're at the Aviva. Hopefully, we'll have a massive crowd because I think we'll need every ounce of support that we can possibly get.
You've had some success in this competition, great success in this competition down throughout the years. And even you personally as a coach, the past few years have been so close, but almost yet so far. Is this the one thing that keeps you awake at night this time of the year, these days? We come on to the last kind of few rounds that you just don't want to fall at that last hurdle again.
It's going back to trying to deliver your best. That's all you can really focus on. So there's so many things you can't control. So what the opposition or referees on any given day and all the rest. But for us, it's trying to deliver our best performance. So if you think back to go back to the pool stages, the way the pool stages are, you have 2 pools of 12, so it's the top 8. So the majority of teams are getting through, but it's the small little things. So it's picking up the bonus points when we travel away to Racing earlier in the season. If you think we were really scrambling to get there to actually play the game, arrived in a hotel just before midnight, and we had early kick off the following day, and but to get a bonus point win that day, because we thought it would come down to the fine margins about making sure that we're doing everything we possibly can to have a good seeding, because we'd love to be playing in Dublin for all these knockout games, because there's so many complications, as we know, with travel, etc. So now we're here. So we're at the semi-final stages. We're in the Aviva again. So we've played our last 16 game. We played our quarter-final game, and it's trying to be better than we were in those games, because we're up against, as I said, it's the top team that's been in the competition. So the top French team, so heavily resourced and all the rest, and it's just an amazing challenge for us. So there's probably different things keeping me awake at night. It's the process of the game rather than the actual outcome. The outcome is what it will be, but for me, it's how we go about delivering our best, or close to our best.
And this is just one final quick one from me, that when you're coaching the players against a team like Toulouse, obviously they're a fantastic side, but there are some absolutely world-class players in that side, like Tufan and Ntamack. How much do you concentrate on the individual in comparison to concentrating on the team as an overall attacking force?
Yeah, like the two players you mentioned, yeah, like you've seen them deliver for Toulouse and for France over a pretty consistent basis now, or over an extended period of time. But Toulouse's game, like you sort of make no mistake, it's still based around forward power, and they go scouring the market for big, powerful men where they can find them. So like second row partnership, they have two Aussie guys there, Arnold and Miafu, like that bring that power game to them. So international front row that they have. And they have tons of international experience across the back row, depending on what combination that they go with. So, like as I said, you're at this stage of the tournament, you're playing against the top teams, but they've game breakers, but it'll still be based on forward power. So that's we need to get ourselves ready for that type of game, which is hugely exciting because again we want to test ourselves against the best teams.
Thanks, Leo. Best of luck.
Thank you. Will?
Hey Leo, it's
Hi Nick.
Nick Mullins here. Great to see you again. You've been doing this for goodness knows how many years, but it's just fantastic to see you enjoying it almost as if it's your first year. What is it still about the job and about weeks like this?
Well, it flies by anyway. I remember obviously watching Toulouse play against Cardiff in that first final. I was still in school, and Leinster had lost to Cardiff in the semi-finals, if you remember that first season. So, and seeing some of the great Toulouse teams, and obviously playing against some of those teams, and here we are. So we're still chasing Toulouse as the top team in Europe. But it's just a privilege to be here, really, isn't it? Because people talk about the pressure and all the rest, but it's an amazing privilege to be here, and if you can't enjoy it, like the process of going around, being involved in these big games, sort of ask yourselves what's the point? Putting in all the work, the early mornings, long weekends, all the rest, and sacrifices, and it's for these days. And that's the thing about going back to the earlier stages in the pool, during the pool stages, whereas really the pool stages is just sort of to get the seeds ready, and to come away with 20 points in the pool it was a big push to make sure we were at home so we can to be playing in front of friends and family and all the rest, because we've so many players have come through, and it's not cheap supporting rugby teams, as we know, so at least people don't have to get on flights this season. Match tickets, I believe, are still quite expensive, but it's they don't have to get on flights at least. We hope we have a great day, because it's two teams, obviously Toulouse, our team we admire greatly, and a team we've been chasing for a long time in this competition, so still feels like that's very much the case, but we enjoy the process of doing what we do on a daily basis, but it's forward to be involved in these big days, and hugely excited about the challenge.
I was going to ask you about your daily routine. What time was your alarm set for this morning? And what time
Too early.
Was to turn the lights out tonight?
Well, I fall asleep easy at night time, and I wake early, excited to get in and see everybody here.
What time are you in the office? Go on.
I was early enough today now, so but I wasn't first in, so there's people in ahead of me anyway.
Okay. Just interestingly, on that process, does the process change from week to week? How do you stay fresh with that when you are preparing for so many big games at this stage of the season? Do you tinker with it a little bit?
There's always little tweaks, yeah, for sure. We got some decent work. As I said, there was early in the piece there, Toulouse have rested their team the weekend. Obviously we had a group that didn't go to South Africa, so, and who's right and who's wrong, it's time will tell. It's such an unusual sequence of playoff games this year for the teams involved in URC. So if you want to be successful in two competitions, and it's sort of this fighting, a war on two fronts, really, isn't it? So we want to be successful in two competitions. Is that the right thing to do? Who bloody knows? But that's what we want to do. So, after the game this weekend, then we turn our attention to Sharks the following week. And again, they're a team, littered with Springboks. They're out of Champions Cup now, so they get to rest this week. So then they'll come turbocharged into next week. But again, that's not really our focus at the moment. So our focus is fully on Toulouse. Toulouse have, as I said, they rested what it looked like rested most of their starters at the weekend for their trip to Paris. We've got some work done with some of these guys last week, and that was just what we think is a sensible thing to do. And but we'll see where it leaves us. It's an amazing challenge. We want to always test ourselves against the best, and Toulouse have definitely been the best team in Europe since the beginning of the competition. I know obviously it's tweaked with European Cup is now Champions Cup, and we've trips to South Africa to navigate at various different stages as well. So the big thing is for us, again, going back to that point about trying to do everything we could to be in position where we're at home in front of our own fans, or certainly in Dublin in front of our home fans. So it's a great challenge, isn't it? So hopefully a great occasion, because they're two, as I said, we just admire what Toulouse have done over the course of the competition.
Yeah, cheers, Leo. Thanks for your time. Have a great week.
Thanks, Nick. Yeah.
Leo, it's Don here. There's lots of comings and goings, and some disruption as well. How's the coaching team faring?
Good. Yeah, all good. Yeah, like it's these are just great days. Like you want to involve the players as much as you possibly can. The players have been great this season. They're growing all the time, and like there's we talked about not to harp on about the end of last season, but we finished the season in Europe like hugely disappointed, like where you're in Marseille, devastation, and like you just have to start all over again this season, and you work your way back to get to this point again. We're at the semi-final stages, same venue, same opponents, so we were hoping for the same result. But Toulouse, I'm sure, like if you think back to their mindset, trying to get an understanding of what their mindset is, they would have been hugely disappointed how the season's ended for them in the competition, because I know they have placed such an emphasis on the tournament, and as I said, their most successful team in the tournament. So for us as a group of coaches, going back to your actual question, as a group of coaches, we're trying to paint the picture for the players about it's not just us, but it's do we understand the motivation of the opposition as well. And I believe Toulouse will be hugely motivated because they faced the disappointment of falling at this hurdle last year, and as I said, because of their history in the competition and because they've been so successful in the competition, they will be feeling that level of disappointment probably that we felt, if you remember, at the final stage. So but yeah, we're new venue, new set of players. I know there's plenty of crossover for both teams, but it's going to be a hugely exciting challenge for both teams.
Indeed. And finally, mini tours are kind of a new feature now. What are the positive and what are the negatives so late in the season?
Well, the negatives are like there's potential negatives in because there's the travel and the unfamiliar environment, and you're away, and we've seen some different challenges with some of those South African trips for different teams at different stages. So you've got to navigate that, then you've got to make some tough decisions as to what's right for your group at any given moment in time. For us, we've been fortunate because before we got on the plane last week, 2 weeks ago, to go to South Africa, we were already qualified as top seed, so the results weren't going to matter. So it was an opportunity for us to blood some young guys, which is fantastic because we've 3 players made their debuts out in South Africa, which is great, because some players have to come through the system and they've got to make their first start at some point along the way. Some players have made their first starts for Leinster in Leinster jerseys. So you've 3 debutants and a number of other players that played for Leinster for the first time, and other young guys that are getting valuable experience. Some guys have missed chunks of the season for whatever reason, injury or form or whatever it's been. So they've got some valuable game time out there as well. So we tried to use the tour in a positive way. We had a good result against the Lions, even though the performance was a bit patchy, I think it's fair to say. We've come up against a Bulls team that on the day were excellent, I thought, and they really punished us for any errors that we made. and it was a very, very dominant display from them. But I think for our young guys, I think it'll be a valuable experience that'll stand to them in future years. So, like all these games, you try to take as much positives as you can out of them. It's not ideal in terms of so many young guys potentially playing, but again, that was the difficult decision that we made. But hopefully the group will be stronger for in the long run.